How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and today we're going to be talking about GME GameStop. It's been a while since we talked about it, but after what happened this evening, I am super excited. As many of you know, I actually hold a few shares. I don't hold that many, but seeing that they ended up turning green on the day, come on. I'm definitely excited about it. I haven't sold them yet. Like I said, I've been holding it. I've been a part of this movement, and just seeing it looking green now is like, again, it's shocking. But what I want to talk about today is what potentially may have happened. Even though we don't have enough info yet, and some of the information that is out there, one of the things that I do believe, it is a combination of a gamma squeeze, a short squeeze, and a lot of FOMO and excitement, all right? So like I do in all my other videos, I'm going to be going into a technical analysis, and we're also going to be looking at a recent article from the Motley Fool, which I find actually is really helpful to give you a clear understanding of what's going on. Let's get into it. All right, so let's get into the technical analysis on GME GameStop. So as we can see here, I have the 5-day, 5-minute chart just to kind of show you guys how GameStop has been trading for quite some time. And where I want to start at is pretty much as we could see over here on February the 18th at market open, it was around $46, right? And let's take a look at the range that it has been trading in. So like we said, on the 18th, it was around, we saw it here priced at around 47, 48, right? And then after we could see as we come all the way over here to the 19th, it had a low of 38.50, right? The next day as we move up, sorry, this is actually going on in after hours. You can see here it kind of moves up a little bit. And then it has another jump here onto the 22nd where it gets to 47, right? So going from the 38s, goes up $10, very similar to how AMC has been moving this week that I've noticed. But anyways, so as we keep going forward here, it does a really good job in regards to the pre-market going into the open here, maintaining that $47 range, right? And as the day goes on, it literally just starts trading sideways. The reason why I kind of put it this way, because I wanted you guys to see how much consolidation and how much support and how the areas have been respected for quite some time. So I had a dip here on the 23rd. So let me just open up the chart. We're going to actually do the 1 day, 1 minute. All right. Okay. So let me just bring this back out. Yeah. So as we can see here, definitely is trading flat throughout the whole entire time of pre-market today. And then even if we take a look at yesterday, still fairly what trading flat, still in that 40 range, ranging between 40 to 45, 46, very strict range, right? Then we have the pre-market, again, very, very strict range. As you can see, the mid 40s. And now let's take a look at how today was. Nothing drastic at all. Like it makes a move up to 47, which we already know there's a lot of support and a lot of consolidation in these areas. And we already knew as far as resistance here, there is some resistance when it gets up into the mid 50 area. So 50 definitely seemed to look like being that area of resistance for today. And then lo and behold, let's spread out the chart now. We have this going from 9:30 all the way trading sideways all the way up until 2:38. And then 2:38, things start becoming very, very interesting. So we literally start seeing, hey, you know what? We're above VWAP and it's gaining some momentum. And it's finally broke that resistance area where we saw at 51. So it started getting to 52, right? Started getting to 53 and just literally started moving. Then it's gapping up to 62. We have some sell-offs here because, hey, you know what? This is some unfamiliar territory, right? So a lot of people start selling off. We also have a lot of traders who are in this stock as well. And for quite some time, GameStop has not had the same amount of volume that it had when the first epic short squeeze was happening and it was trading in that almost, I think it was in the 500 range, high 500s. I think it was around 480. Let me just kind of, to be more exact, it wasn't that long ago, but yeah, it got up to like literally like 513. But I know sometimes when you look on other things, it will say that the high was around the 480s, like 483, 487. But let's go back to where we were before. So as you can see here, it literally starts running up and it gets up to $91. Keep in mind, throughout this entire process, there were numerous halts, right? I think there was about 1 or 2 halts that I saw. And then it just started. This is where actually I started recording videos. So this is why I did the AMC video, and I was saying like, yeah, AMC made a strong move. And I wasn't even watching GameStop because usually 4 o'clock, that's when I start recording for you guys. But anyways, so as you can see here, closing, after closing the day up here around 91, a strong push to $200. $200. And this right here is what you call a serious short squeeze. This is a combination of a short squeeze, FOMO, right? Because a lot of people are seeing this price move up fast. Keep in mind, when we have this type of a movement, you got to think about psychological factors here. There's a lot of people who are waiting on the sidelines, a lot of people who are holding shares like myself. And you also have people are just like, hey, that thought this was over, right? So now when you see this particular type of move, psychologically, you got to think and say, well, you know what? We're going to have, this is a ton of momentum. And on top of that, anyone who was shorting the stock and so forth, they need to start closing out their positions. Because if they were shorting, like I said, GME was trading sideways for a very long time. And a lot of people and a lot of, you know what, let me say a lot of institutions, and also if we look at it technically, believed that, hey, GME is not worth that it being in the $46 to $50 range. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were still a lot of people who were shorting, institutions that were shorting, just to make the price go down. So as soon as when you see this particular type of a movement, let's say if you were shorting and you were shorting at the 50, imagine having to cover at $200, right? That's literally like $150, $150 per share that you'd have to cover. So this is part of the reasons why we have this strong movement. Even if we take a look at the time period from when it closed at 4 o'clock, it literally got to $200 within almost an hour. So this just shows you right here, this was some serious action. Also taking into consideration, we had a ton more volume, and that's to be expected considering the amount of momentum going into the after hours and what was happening and the way it was just moving parabolic. So what we need to see is that it hit a high of $200, right? So now we need to look at where was the next resistance area in after hours. So there was a resistance area at around 159. As you can see, it was trading quite low and it retested this on 2 different occasions. As we can see over here, right? We can see this around 507 and then it tested it again here at just before 6 o'clock, right? So now what ends up happening? Excitement. Everybody's like, oh, the short squeeze is here. Everyone's trying to get in and so forth. People are buying up shares. And then here we go. Boom. What happens when we pass that area of resistance? We have a move to the upside. So we literally, from that area of resistance around 159 to 160, we end up moving to 175. And that becomes a resistance area for a little bit because as you can see, it started going down. Like I said, there's a lot of people who are selling because they've been holding GME for quite some time, right? So the fact that there's still a lot of people selling, there's also still a lot of people buying on the other end. Because if we see here, it gets down to around 160 from the 175 range, which is not too big of a difference. And then look what happens. So we're going to see it from here, and then look what happens here. Boom. We got to move right here. And this literally is around around this time, it is around 7:30, right? It's around 7:30 at this time where we end up breaking this resistance area, breaking this resistance area, and then making a move up to 194. All right. So let me just extend out the chart a little bit more. So as we're seeing this, we see at 7:30, it's at 193, right? But again, we start having some more sell-offs. It's getting close to the end of the market. And then as you can see here, like right before 8 o'clock, we end up finishing the day at 168. All right. And one thing that I definitely see happening, because even if we take a look at the RSI here, keep in mind, looking at these indicators and stuff like that, they're not going to be, what's the best way to say it? They're not going to be the most effective right now because, again, GME just had such a parabolic move. So to go off the RSI, again, I don't think that's the most wisest of decisions. This is definitely a situation where we're going to have to wait and look. We're going to have a lot of FOMO. Again, there's going to be a lot of, I feel like there's going to be a lot more short squeezes tomorrow. A lot of people are going to be covering their shares. A lot of people are going to be selling as well when they wake up and see this, if they haven't seen it already. And as far as for myself, I'm actually excited because I've been sitting on some GME shares for a while and now I'm green. So this is actually pretty cool to see. So we're going to definitely have to see what happens tomorrow. As far as price predictions are concerned, I definitely, again, shorts are going to have to cover here. So I would not be surprised if we end up gapping up tomorrow at 190. I would not be surprised. 180, 190. If we end up gapping down, just going off from what I see on the chart and where it looks like there's a good amount of support is around 150. This 150 area, there could be a gap down there as well. So I'll be very interested to see whether it's going to be at the 150 or the 160 if it gaps down. And then I'm going to be very interested if it gaps up, we might see it starting off at around 190. All right. So either of those situations can occur. We're just going to have to wait and see. If you are going to be thinking about trading this, anyone who's an investor going long term, I would highly suggest you stay away from this. But if you're a trader or you're a swing trader, you already know. You got to listen to the chart and see what it gives you. See where the support areas are. As we could see here, like I was mapping it out, we're going to definitely have to be looking for something around that 150 area, as you can see there. We also see something around that 170 area. And the fact that we close around 168 is part of the reasons why I said if we gap up, we could definitely gap up to 180 to 190. And if we gap down, it will definitely be back here to 150. But as far as tomorrow's concerned, again, we're going to really see what happens. Like I said, there was a lot of short interest. The GME is still shorted more than average, than the average stock. Let's be real here. I know AMC was number one on the short list when we looked at it the other day, but as we could see here, there were many other stocks. There was GME that I saw, AMC that I saw, and also costs as well that ended up benefiting from what happened in after hours. All right, so here's an article here on the Motley Fool, pretty much giving their perspective in regards to what has potentially happened. So as we can see here, here's why GameStop just exploded higher. Everyone is gearing up for short squeeze 2.0. What happened? So shares of GameStop were trading moderately higher on Wednesday until about 1 p.m. EST when they started gaining a little momentum. Then seemingly out of nowhere, the stock absolutely exploded higher. Trading was halted several times as it rapidly climbed to finish at 104% higher for the day, and it's still climbing after hours. Earlier this year, GameStop had an epic short squeeze orchestrated by a group on Reddit called Wall Street Bets. This group noticed that short interest for GameStop was over 100%. With a clever combination of buying common shares and call options called a gamma squeeze, the group was able to cause the price per share to go up, forcing many short sellers to close their positions for massive losses. When the dust from the short squeeze settled, short interest for GME stock plummeted. Only about 40% of the float was shorted as of January 29th. More recent data isn't available yet to know what it is exactly today, but the decline in short interest appeared to be the mark of the end of the GameStop saga. The stock fell roughly 90% from peak highs, except apparently everyone simply regrouped for round two. Traders were out in full force late this afternoon, bidding GameStop stock back up. To be clear, 40% short interest is still significant enough to spark a mini short squeeze. Which is right, because I think usually when the short interest is below, anything over 20% is considered to be a pretty high number for short interest. Let's continue. However, it's possible shorts decided to short GameStop again, thinking it was all over. After all, the stock was still trading more than 10 times where it traded before all of this began. If short interest has increased in any since January 29th, then this could be a wild ride yet again, which is what we just covered in the technical analysis. Like, I am dead positive that, again, more institutions started shorting GameStop as soon as when, you know what, it looked like the dust settled and everything was okay. And then seeing it at that $40 to $50 range, you're like, no, we're going to short this. And hey, here we are right now. So last part. Last time, many GameStop bulls felt cheated because of the trading restrictions on Robinhood and other brokerages put on the stock. In a recent interview with Dave Portnoy, Robinhood CEO said it moved to restrict trading because it feared any impending liquidity issues if it didn't act. Since then, the company has raised a lot of money, seemingly mitigating this risk. Considering all of the negative press it received last time, it's fair to wonder if Robinhood would restrict the buying of GameStop stock again. If it doesn't, it will be interesting to watch just how high GameStop can fly. For me, I'll be watching with interest, but I'm not a GameStop buyer today. When I invest, I'm looking for strong companies with long runways for growth. GameStop does not fit that description for me. This is also one of the reasons why anyone who's looking at GameStop for long term, stay on the sidelines and just see how things roll out. I would not start building out your long-term position right now. It's a bad idea. All right, so my final thoughts on this. Hey, it's going to be epic tomorrow. I don't know exactly what's going to happen because I cannot predict the future. But again, it definitely does look like this short squeeze is not over. Because just imagine, anyone who has been shorting GameStop, think about it, in that $40 to $50 range. And if they wake up tomorrow knowing they have to cover at the current price where it is at now, like around 168, it could get very, very interesting. So is it possible that this stock could see $200 again tomorrow? Most definitely. Is it possible it could see $300 tomorrow? Most definitely. Again, now it's going to get very interesting. We see what it did in after hours. So now we got to see what happens in pre-market and also during regular trading hours. We know there's going to be a combination of a lot of selling and a lot of buying. I also want to throw in the disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. So when you do invest, just know that you're doing it at your own risk. For anyone who's looking to get into GME long term, I would highly suggest you actually sit on the sidelines and just wait for this whole entire thing to fizzle out. You don't want to be left holding a bag or overpaying for the stock itself. For anyone who's maybe holding some shares already, you were a part of the movement and so forth, hey, my hat's off to you. Things are looking really, really good for us. But hey, I just wanted to kind of give you guys that update. There's a lot going on. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's because, you know, it was a recent management change and all of that. And you know what? I really don't believe that. I think it just comes down to looking at the technicals and looking at the data and looking at the information that was given to us before, right? We also see that there was a lot of dishonesty. They were saying everywhere in the media, like, oh yeah, it's over. A lot of those companies, those hedge funds were saying, hey, well, you know what? No, we have no interest in these. Like, oh no, we leave it alone, or no, we already lost the money. No. Now they're realizing they're going to lose even more for not being clear about it. I'm very interested to see what happens with brokers tomorrow too. I want to see if they're going to get involved like they got involved previously, especially like Robinhoods and all that and so forth. But again, we'll have to see how tomorrow turns out. Hope you guys enjoy your evening, and this is the last video for tonight to update you guys. Peace.